The idea of transsexuality is a perversion that sole purpose is to weaponize a female's broken empathy system, which should only be reserved for her children, while also taking advantage of the modern man's weakness in expressing dominance and command over his house and his land. This dominance extends to regions of education, employment, and the wider society, of which standards of care, reasonableness, and most importantly, common sense are derogated and replaced by empty, meaningless platitudes that only serve to diminish the lived reality of every man, woman, and child. The news that has been shown recently related to the father who shot and murdered his ex-wife and child is something that has become commonly associated with the narcissistic, degenerate souls of such people. The Catholic school shooter, someone who released their manifesto, who claimed that killing these young children was the right thing to do, was a person who was a transsexual. This hormonally imbalanced troglodyte was rightfully killed and should have continued to be shot even after the god-forsaken corpse was riddled with bullets. However, such a person was treated by their community as someone that was misunderstood, a broken person in need of support. I say fuck no. The only support that such a piss stain needed was a straitjacket, a padded room, and routine meals. Such steps should have been taken before such a mass murder. Similarly, this grown, almost 60-year-old man with a wig and a dress should have never been allowed anywhere near his family. He went to his ex-wife in a public place with a loaded gun intentionally to start problems and killed his child in the process, after which he then turned the gun on himself. Maybe in that moment, he realized that his life truly meant nothing because he ran away from the responsibility of being a father, of being a man, and instead fell into the lustful pit of his deepest sinful perversion, leading to the death of his ex-spouse and the snuffing out of the wondrous light of his child. Taking his life was the only good thing left for him to do, and of course he did it. The second best thing he should have done was to have never taken all of these godforsaken photos. I would argue that the extension of such a perverse and corrosive idea, being transsexuality, to be applicable to adults is equally as destructive as many people's arguments against children's exposure to it. Objectively, if someone requests to be specifically shot in the face with a sawed-off shotgun because they get aroused by the thought of killing themselves, that person is deemed to be a danger to themselves. If someone asks to be viciously beaten to death, that person is considered to be a danger to themselves. If someone requests that their penis be cut off and that fake breasts are implanted onto them and they have an open wound in the place where their Johnson and twin cousins used to be, well, clearly that person is a woman. They don't deserve any rights. Only until they are deemed mentally and physically competent to live and behave as normal must they be allowed to exercise the rights of everyday citizens. Your rights, while they are assumed to be protected, must be withdrawn if you are a danger to yourself. It is much more than simply saying the empty and emotional statement of, oh, they're just people, they're just living their lives, leave them alone, leave them be. Such a statement is a common misguided feminine saying. They will, as we have seen in the past few years and recently, go further and further into this childish play pretend facade, eventually leading to real world harm and the replacement and derogation of themselves and the woman they attempt to imitate. They cannot have these choices to make, and they should not have any of these choices relegated to them. Similarly, a child cannot smoke, cannot drink, cannot tattoo the body, cannot have sex, etc., but somehow has the wherewithal to know that they are not in the right body. Furthermore, they can remove their body parts as a means of affirming their true self. If that is the case, then why does an intense suicidal and oftentimes violent nature overcome them the moment they actually go through with these procedures? Why are there calls to detransition now? Cutting off the breasts of young girls, then routinely pumping them chock full of hormones at a young age, and at times cut off large chunks of their skin to form a useless graft of a penis upon their body. All of this is somehow beneficial for young children. And the main causes of these issues, the main people that are pushing and promoting these things, the main people that stand by as their rights are actively being ripped away from them, oftentimes actively pushing forward for these reforms, the liberal woman. These women are the main drivers of these social changes that largely disadvantage them because their empathy system is now geared towards the world. Everyone deserves this, and everyone deserves that. The problem, however, is that not everyone is a child. Not everyone has the capability to make the right choices, man or woman. Not only that, the idea that the people you surround yourself with who engage in these types of perversions but are, to you, quote unquote, good people, are not the exception to the rule. The stereotype and truth is that they are all sick in the head, and by enabling their fetishes and destructive tendencies, by deliberately ignoring it, you are casting the first die in your replacement and eventual destruction. In Canada, this woman says that she stands with the transsexual community, of which one of their members was imprisoned alongside female inmates and was actively raping them. For reference, here is the video with this woman I am referring to.
This man raped a 3-month-old who required reconstructive surgery, and he drowned a 3-year-old. And he was still a teenager when this happened. But he was put in prison. Then while in prison, the British Columbia government paid for him to get breast implants. And because he's now identifying as a woman, they transferred him into the Fraser Valley Penitentiary for Women. And in our female prisons in Canada, there are units with moms with their small children. Up to a certain age, they can have their kids with them. So they have this separate unit. This man was placed right next door to that unit. And while he's been there, he has, of course, assaulted a woman. And I talked to this woman at the desk. Her name's Grace Lore. I didn't know who she was. I just walked in and started telling her all about this child abuse of child transition, all about puberty blockers, everything. And for about 10 minutes, everyone in this building fell quiet and they listened to me basically give this 10-minute speech to this woman listening to me at the desk. I told her all about the child abuse, and then I got to this women in prisons story, and I told her about this man. His name's Adam Labukin. I told her exactly what I just told you. And when I was telling that story, another politician shut me down. She said I was making them feel unsafe. I have subsequently told this story online in great detail. Grace Lore, that woman I was speaking to, who became the Minister of Children and Family Development. What I didn't know at the time I first spoke with her, she was a former gender studies professor at the University of Victoria. So when I told this story on Twitter and I tagged her, she responded, proudly stating simply, I stand with the transgender community.
Women offshoot their thoughts to the group, a survival mechanism that is misplaced today. Allowing men into female spaces is the most misandrous action that these feminists fail to firmly stand against. And the only reason for why they allow this is because of empathy. Like children playing pretend, they play along. The only difference is that the world isn't made like that. The world does not seek to cater to the whims and woes of mentally suffering men and women by affirming their delusions. But the world, according to women, these types of women must do that because it is fair and it should be fair and everybody must be treated fairly. Beyond retarded such beliefs are. The constant statements of, oh, leave them be, it's their life, why are you focusing on people such as these? There are stores in the West which actively show homosexual and transsexual themed books predominantly issued towards children. I kid you not, there was a RuPaul drag queen children's book that I saw myself. So the idea that leaving them be and allowing that, you know what, before I even get onto that, outside of the RuPaul drag queen book, there was an entire section of rainbow-colored themed books. And because children are more susceptible to bright lights, they gravitate towards these things. So by using that flag, all of the colors underneath it, and then pushing this type of idea towards children, that already lets you know the way that these insects think. Their minds are geared towards one thing. And they need to have children part of them, and I'll get to that in a bit. But let me continue. So the idea that leaving them alone and allowing them to be what they truly want to be must be right and fair, that isn't the question, and that isn't the thought. If such a minority ever existed outside of the general society, with people only seeing them if they were actively seeking them out, many people wouldn't mind nor even think about it as much. But since the government of Canada openly supports them, matter of fact, since governments in the West openly support them, when these people actively fight to enter only women's restrooms, when they dress up like Satan and various demonic figures and read in front of children, when Disney Plus and Netflix make shows actively and routinely praising them, and also involving children into the frame, when grown men with their dick and balls enter women's locker rooms, sports, and showers, they then forfeit their right to be deliberately ignored. They use the law. The law is weaponized against common thinking men and women, pushing them into silence while their children are being targeted. Social media warps corporations' minds into thinking that it is the new normal for the past 10 years to create media to only cater to this non-existent audience, which obviously will tank their company. That damn flag alone has no place in or around any academic institution because its existence is solely based on who one is sexually attracted to. And since they're allowing every godforsaken degenerate filth underneath it, are they now going to allow maps?
My name is Connor Gardner Weston. I'm 27 years old and live in Dayton, Ohio. I am an anti-contact, non-offending pedophile. I am fundamentally against adult minor relationships because I know that they are harmful. I don't have any urges that I need control, just like how most straight men don't have the urge to rape every woman they meet. Pedophilia is not a choice. I can choose not to harm minors, but I can't choose to stop being attracted to them.
Shoot him! Shoot him now!
Are you going to allow pedophiles underneath that flag? Oh no, it sounds bad because you care about children? Well, from Vouch to Destiny to all of these freaks, they're all the same. With the only difference between these transvestites and streamers is that they are legally protected from any form of legal obligations and consequences to a point. In a righteous world, these dangers to society would be thoroughly erased. But maybe I'm wrong, Maybe men like him don't deserve to be harassed. Let's see what he has to say.
It's your favorite hobo you love to hate. I just wanted to do a check-in, let people know that I am being safe, I'm being secure. I have taken care of my needs, and I am just chilling until I actually go for my sentencing. And yeah, I did kind of realize that we do have a highly unique opportunity here, whereas I'm someone who did something heinous and I'm on social media, whereas pretty much all the other people who do something heinous get locked in a box and blocked out from society, and they don't get to talk to them. So does it put me at risk? I'm already at risk. I know that I'm going to do everything in my part to not hurt anyone else in society. For sure. Nope, I'm good. That was a horrible, horrible, horrible error and a bad decision that I made. And I shouldn't have ever done it. I never will do it again. And if I could rewrite history and make it so I didn't do it, I would. I am a mentally unstable person who lives in a minivan, and I need a full psychiatric assessment. I go around people when I have to. If I didn't have to, I wouldn't. I think it's safer for the community the less time people are around me. Why would you come up to someone who did what I did and harass them. People don't actually, but they threaten to, right? And I think that's just wild. Anyway, good morning. It's Alice Michael. Mwah. Peace, love, and unicorn.
This man cut the throat of his daughter, is laughing about his violent tendencies almost as if he is proud of it, and he is openly stating that he is a danger to himself and the people around him. Look at his van! And he will still have his day in court. Remember what I said we should start doing to these people? Liberal women will intentionally ignore male warning signs, get hurt, and then blame men instead of their poor choices, hubris, and their supposed divine intuition. Grace Lore demonized this man because he was saying that an inmate should not be in a woman's prison. The same creature that should have been hung upside down outside of a city because, just in case you forgot, drowned a baby and raped women. She said that this man was making them feel uncomfortable, with his words, mind you, and that she stands with the trans community that actively harms women, brags about it, demands to be treated on the same level as women. She stands with them. Burn it all to the ground. You have these people in schools. You have them ceremonially pissing blood and giving it as a drink. They wear fake breasts pretending to be women. And they pretend for the longest time that this thought, this disease, is worth fighting for. Your queer ancestors never made it past 40. The only contributions that these people have done for acceptance is bodily mutilations on children, which would make societies of old burn them while tied to trees. People have been jailed for less. People have had their careers destroyed for less. And yet this ideology is so widespread that faux medicinal actors routinely state that this is for the good of everyone if they want to do this, and that it is good for children as well. It is good enough to sell your future for contemporary, meaningless gains while blaming everyone else for the way that the world is. You see, it's the regular, everyday, average-minded person that believes this Bolshevik bullshit, and they reinforce this terribly, especially the liberal woman around it. Case in point, Ellen Page. It is an absolute disgrace, a travesty that this woman destroyed herself and the fan base around it instead of saying that she was out of her goddamn mind for allowing such demons to poke, prod, and rip her apart. They remained and played into the nonsense. And look, I'm not even talking about Hollywood. That industry routinely sacrifices children and intentionally makes their followers kiss the ring and invert the lifespan and the being of their children. That much is accepted. I'm speaking on the regular person that sees this daily. The women that support this have no sense. And if they even gave as much empathy and understanding as they spend defending the illegal men and women that steal from, kill, and rape them, and spend that on protecting children and institutions, their thoughts and opinions on everything would be taken more seriously. However, they actively vote against and work against their own interests, ingesting media which pacifies them to the dangers of the world while heightening a perceived untouchable godliness of the female, venerating them to a form of godhood where they can do no wrong, yet they somehow always end up in positions where they are demanding for some invisible force of good to come and save them from the mess which they have willfully walked into. A man became the woman of the year, and they all clapped. They stand by and watch their children being sent to the slaughter to these people. They quickly demonize men for being porn addicts and routinely make statements grandstanding that men should do better, but God forbid a man say that this garbage deserves to be burnt like the utter filth that it is. That these men who cosplay and undermine women, their achievements, and their place in society deserve to be outcasted, forgotten, and treated like the freaks they are. Oh, all of a sudden, pearls are clutched. All of a sudden, you are being too mean. A grown man that still has his Johnson and two twin cousins killed his wife, child, and endangered many others. Being mean or unempathetic is exactly what needs to happen. That flag, that bastardized God's promise to never flood the earth again, is used as a mask to push perversion and deserves to be buried in a pile of ash and utterly forgotten. Another thing, this obsession with children is not solely on the point of transsexuals. Homosexuals also engage heavily in this, and they should not, because they have willingly opted out of the natural procreative process. The definition of marriage has been made neutral, not referring, as it used to a man and a woman as being a spouse, or a couple, or a family, but rather a person and a person. Marriage is now between two people. Now, language is used to replace man and woman. And unfortunately, women are being given the short end of the stick, being defined as breastfeeding persons, menstruating persons, this cacophony of crackpots. These men who, in their unnatural desires, choose to remove themselves from the godly blessing of having a woman gift her body to you and planting a seed into her fertile fields, then leading to the blossoming life of a child. Such men still wish to be a part of that process, even though they have chose to go away from that, to live alternatively. As such, they purchase these babies. Women who give their bodies as surrogates are paid to carry the child within them. And once birthed, such a child is removed from their birth mother and given not to another woman, but placed upon the hairy chest of a man. Sometimes these freaks have a roundabout way of doing this, leading to images such as these, which, if seen, would most definitely be a sign of a dead society. Imagine, among the ruins of a once great civilization, what you find among the ruins was a fragment of such a society, and this image, an image of a grown man attempting to breastfeed a newborn baby, was such an image that exemplified the times. That alone would speak to the abject horror and dystopian nature of such a civilization. These children become victims of these homosexuals. These homosexual men pimped out their sons. These ones sexually abuse this baby to the point of death. These sick fucks have a baby daughter.
Thank you to everybody who participated in the twins' birthday, but I also want to give a special thank you to decorator crafts by Kathy.
We need Vlad back. This is why this perversion is what it is, and why it will always and forever remain a blight upon those who accept it. From the government to the common folk, it is a growing plague, a weed that's vines slowly reach around the throats of all who attempted to sit on the fence and give concession to these freaks. It's sick seeing people say that it's normal to do this to yourself. You're killing yourselves and want everyone around you to be dragged down alongside you. You want children because you can't have any, so you use the law to compel everyone to have to be around you in some way. This kid is going to die. So is this one, and many of the children that are being forcibly brought forth to live alongside these sprats will most likely get molested by them. The day when the chickens come home to roost will be a day that is a long time coming. So all I have to say is watch and wait. Thank you for spending your time here. I wish you all the very best. Have a good day.